Good morning. My name is Amanda Price, and I'm the Commissioner for the Department of Public Safety. I'd like to say good morning and welcome you all here today. It's a very exciting opportunity for us to be here this morning, and I would like to just take a moment and thank you for joining us in our Public Safety Aircraft section. It always looks this shiny and beautiful. We did not do this just for you all. Today is really an important day for us as we take the necessary steps to fix what we've all determined is a broken law. Since its implementation, I hear ya. Since its implementation, SB 91 did nothing more than slap repeat offenders on our wrist. We've heard story after story from Alaskan after Alaskan about the impact of that law. Our troopers and other law enforcement officers would catch criminals, haul them off to jail just to watch them walk back out on our streets, often before the cop even went off duty. That was very demoralizing and frustrating for law enforcement officers statewide. Across Alaska, SB 91 is a bad word that people utter under their breath. Alaskans are rightfully angry and outraged because they watched our communities get the short end of the stick while criminals enjoyed the perks that law offered them. With Governor Dunleavy's signature on HB 49, we are changing the catch and release system currently in place. Those repeat offenders will not get out of jail before our law enforcement officers go home after their shift has ended. Wrist slaps will be stopped. There will be actual penalties for what criminals choose to do. Some quick points on what HB 49 corrects. HB 49 returns Alaska law relating to the distribution of illegal drugs to pre-SB 91 form. This means crimes relating to drug trafficking are reinstated as a Class A felony, and it specifically enhances the sentencing provisions used to combat the manufacturing of methamphetamines. Let's talk about property crimes. A lot of our Alaskan neighbors are talking about property crimes, and many of us in this room have been impacted. Vehicle thefts are like a plague. HB 49 will make it a crime to possess motor vehicle theft tools if the person intends to not only steal a vehicle, but also if they intend to steal the contents of the vehicle. That places it in line with the crime of possession of burglary tools. HB 49 turns knowingly missing a court date into a crime instead of a mere violation. It also removes the 30-day grace period that SB 91 afforded criminals, which they took advantage of. Additionally, it tightens up our laws pertaining to escape, and there will be real consequences. We all know that Alaska has a sexual assault problem. This is something that we have talked about for decades in our state. HB 49 addresses some of the gaps in the existing law. It removes loopholes that never should have existed, but where we were made painfully aware of during the Justin Schneider case. I can go on and on for you about how this legislation creates necessary and critical fixes in our system. I'm going to close by thanking the legislators who put their work together to hash this important issue out. The full support of Governor Dunleavy, who has, since he campaigned, identified that public safety is his priority and has supported what he has told Alaskans by working diligently to put legislation like this forward, and it's more than just a campaign talking point for him. It's clear that Governor Dunleavy is taking a stand and putting law-abiding Alaskans above the criminals in this state. Thank you, Governor Dunleavy, for signing this meaningful legislation into law. Effective tomorrow, the tools that law enforcement need to keep our communities safe and the tools that prosecutors need to help enforce taking criminals off the street will be put into place. I have the opportunity now to invite Commissioner of the Department of Corrections, who is a part of Governor Dunleavy's public safety team, to come up here and make a few comments. Nancy Dahlstrom.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and thank you, Governor Dunleavy, for your strong support for public safety. It is an honor to serve and have that be our #1 priority. It's always an honor to be here with all the men and women who keep us safe, and they work tirelessly every day to protect every one of us and the quality of life that we all respect and love. House Bill 49 brings attention to the fact that Alaskans were calling for a change. Alaskans were demanding a change, and no doubt it took a lot of effort to get to the point that we had this one bill. A bill that returns the balance to our criminal justice system. This balance ensures that the public safety and the victims' rights along with helping offenders who want to turn their lives around. From the Department of Corrections perspective, this legislation provides the tools to supervise and hold accountable defendants on pretrial and defendants on probation and parole, allowing us to do our job to the best of our ability. Consequences are now clear. Those who commit crimes can choose between making good choices and good decisions or facing penalties that have stiffer penalties, stiffer sentences, and potentially much longer incarceration time. No longer should we see offenders taking advantage of a system that allowed them to commit a crime and be back on the street in days, sometimes even in hours. Hopefully, the term catch and release is going to go back to what it used to be and refer to fishing only. It's no longer a buzzword for criminal activity. Before I turn it over to the next speaker, let me reiterate one important point, and that is accountability. House Bill 49 gives corrections, all law enforcement, the Department of Law, and the courts the ability to hold offenders accountable, and this is what Alaskans have been demanding. This was accomplished, and we are grateful to be able to be here and sign this legislation today. So now let me introduce someone who's been very instrumental in the passage of this bill, Deputy Attorney General, Mr. John Skidmore.
Public safety is government's highest priority. You cannot have children in our schools learn unless they feel safe and secure. You cannot have economic development without public safety. And if you want people to live and be proud of the communities that they're in, you need to establish public safety. And that's precisely what HB 49 is going to allow us to do again. HB 49 returns tools to prosecutors. And I can tell you, as the lead prosecutor in the state of Alaska, the number one job of prosecutors across the state is to seek justice. And HB 49 gives us the tools to do that, to get back into the game and to fight the fight that we're paid to do. For the last few years, it's felt like we as prosecutors have had one hand tied behind our backs. In fact, I suspect that's probably the way most of the people behind me feel as well. With one hand tied behind our backs, we were left to watch. When we wanted to seek justice, we were left to watch some people simply return back to the streets without being held accountable, despite our best efforts, because that's what the law required. But HB 49 changes that. It allows us to get back into the game. It allows us to try and bring that public safety to all the people of the state of Alaska who deserve it so much. There were some cases in which we had to watch people be released, even though we knew they were a danger to society because that's what the law required. There were other cases in which we wanted to incentivize individuals to get into treatment, but we were unable to do so because the law had our hand tied behind our backs. We were sidelined, we were benched. But now, we will get back into the fight and we will be making a difference. HB 49 also focuses attention on sex crimes. Sex crimes that have victimized our citizens across the state, both children and adults. It increases classification for things like unlawful exploitation and indecent exposure. It clarifies and strengthens laws like indecent viewing, sexual abuse of minor in the third degree, and the sexual assault of mentally incapable, unaware, or incapacitated victims. And it adds new statutes that will require sex offenders from other states to register in Alaska when they come here, no matter what. All of this is possible because of the hard work and collaboration of a great number of people, many of whom are here today. From the executive branch, just to name a few: Suzanne Cunningham, Juliana Mellon, Casey Schroeder, Kelly Good, and Kelly Howe. Just a few of the people from the executive branch that came together and worked tirelessly to bring this to where we are today. It also required the cooperation and collaboration of the legislature. And while there are not enough time to name all of the legislators that participated and helped with this, I would be remiss if I didn't express thanks to a few. Senators Micicki, Costello, Hughes, Schauer, and Reinbold. Their leadership on these issues was important. And from the House, Representative Chuck Kopp, Tammy Wilson, and Matt Clayman also played critical roles in bringing this about today. And while all of those folks and many more that I don't have the time and opportunity to name today deserve credit, there's one person above all else that deserves our thanks. That's the person who brought the leadership to make this happen, and that's Governor Dunleavy. It was his vision and his leadership that brought forth a package of crime bills at the beginning of session, that brought together a team within the executive branch to work and collaborate with the legislature. And it's today his signature. It's that leadership throughout that we have to thank for making Alaska a safer place today. So, without any further ado, I'd like to extend my personal gratitude and thanks to Governor Dunleavy, and I would encourage everyone else to do so as well. Governor.
Slight mic adjustment. So first of all, I want to thank everyone for being here on a beautiful day. It's almost like the new norm in Alaska. But I want to thank the legislature for working on this bill with us. Many of the members are here today, and this was no easy task. You know, I came to Alaska in 1983, and this was an amazing place. It is an amazing place. Folks worked together. There was a time where you could hitchhike, you helped people on the road, you helped your neighbor, you left your doors unlocked, you left your keys in your car. That was Alaska. But over the last several years, things have changed in Alaska, as we know. The crime statistics have gone through the roof. These aren't crime statistics we're making up. They're verified by everyone from the FBI to our own folks here in the administration, that our property crimes are higher than most places in the United States. Our sexual assault rates are it's unspeakable as to what happens to the most vulnerable in our state. We have one of the highest murder rates in the country. But that's going to change with the advent of this bill being signed today. This is just the beginning. This isn't going to fix it all, but this is just the beginning. This is going to allow these fine folks behind me, the men and women, the thin blue line, the folks that help us with the troopers, corrections, local police, all of law enforcement. It's going to give them the tools to be able to catch these criminals, hold these criminals, prosecute these criminals, and sentence these criminals. For those that are worried that that's all we're going to do is just be hard on criminals, we're going to be hard on some criminals, certainly. Probably hard on many criminals. But for those individuals that have made mistakes, that may have become addicted to substances, we're going to work with those folks as well. And that's the other side of the coin that we'll be working on over the next year with legislators and others as well, other stakeholders. But make no mistake about it, for the past several years, law-abiding Alaskans are the ones that have had to look over their shoulders. Law-abiding Alaskans are the ones that had to buy, using their own money, security cameras, security systems, add a new dog or two to their family, go out and learn how to shoot. This is not how this state should be. And as was mentioned, the highest priority of any government and any governor is public safety. So once again, with the signing of this bill today, this is the beginning. We will put resources into public safety. We won't just talk about it. We are going to demand tangible results. We're going to look and make sure that these crime rates actually go down. It won't just be on paper. When you talk to your neighbor, hopefully in the next couple years, hopefully starting soon, your neighbor will say, you know what, I'm not that worried anymore about where I park my car when I come to town or what I have on the front seat. You know, we forgot to lock our door the last couple of days and nobody broke into it. This is the Alaska that we want to have. This is the Alaska that we're going to have, and this bill is going to help move Alaska forward from that respect. Again, to the criminals, I mentioned this in the State of the State speech. you know, this is not your time, and this is the time to get out of the state. With signing this bill, we're serious. If you're going to try and prey on Alaskans, we're coming after you. We will prosecute you. And if you hurt Alaskans, if you molest children, if you assault women, we're really going to come after you. Because this stuff is really, it's got to end. And so with that, I want to thank everyone that worked on this bill. This was a huge effort by stakeholders across the spectrum, folks in the administration, but also folks in the legislature. I want to thank each and every legislator that worked on this bill and voted for this bill. Through your actions, Alaska is going to be a much safer place going into the future. So I want to thank you all for joining us here today, and I'm going to ask that any lawmakers that are present today, you want to please come up so that we can sign this bill into law and get on with making Alaska one of the safest states in the country. So thank you.